I'm Lily Melrose and I'm a vlogger and blogger on YouTube, and I have 60,000 subscribers and I make fashion and beauty videos.
And how did you get into doing that?
I started off writing a fashion blog. I've been doing that for 4 years, and I moved into video content in the last 6 months, and since then it's sort of just grown from there. I've got 6,000 followers, which is more followers than I have on my blog in 6 months than I had in 4 years. So,
what's been the impact? I mean, since it's grown in popularity, you've obviously got involved with Gleam.
Yeah.
How's that sort of process worked in terms of working with brands and sponsorship?
I think working with brands and sponsorships just got way bigger, especially on YouTube. I think brands are kind of want the more interactive platform that YouTube is compared to the static platform, which is blogging. I think display ads just kind of aren't the same anymore. I think pre-rolls, sponsorship, integration with like social media, that is where the brands need to be looking rather than traditional kind of online advertising.
Sure. And you obviously have tons of fans. What do they think? I mean, is it about trust with you?
I think the thing about working with brands is you have to be authentic. You have to do something that is real, and you can't lie to people. There's a difference between selling something and being dishonest, and I think you have to really play up on the fact that your audience trusts you and they really believe in what you're saying. So for example, if I was going to be promoting a beer brand, I don't drink, so I wouldn't do that. But if I was promoting like a cosmetics brand, I love makeup, so then they naturally know that that's real. But if you're like starting to talk about things that aren't relevant, then it's a bit harder.
I'm Dominic Smales. I work for Gleam, and we are a social talent agency. We monetize people who have huge reach and influence on social media platforms. So the fascinating thing about the people that we look after is their huge reach online, when essentially they are consumers or super consumers. They don't have a reach on television or radio or broadcast platforms like that, but the 15 channels that we look after at the moment drive in the region of 50 million views a month and are subscribed to by over 8.5 million people right now. So to put that into context, just our top channels reach among young females outweighs the combined circulation of Cosmo, Vogue and Glamour, for example. For brands, that means they've got an audience to access through these guys that is totally engaged and trusts what these guys are telling them. It's a really difficult and quite delicate relationship to have, but this is where we help, in that we are conduits to that relationship to make sure that the brand can integrate with the social talent to be able to deliver their messages, but in a really credible, compliant and effective way that doesn't detract from the trust that these guys have built up running their YouTube channels or Facebook pages or Twitter feeds with their audience, but also delivers what the brand needs to have delivered in terms of their messaging and so on and so forth.
Excellent, good answer. One final question then. I'm more interested maybe in the evolution of where this is going to go. I mean, could it become saturated with vloggers? They're becoming minor celebrities in their own right now anyway, and sort of elevating themselves upwards. You sort of gave an example of them being sort of like the one direction of YouTube, which is pretty fascinating sort of culture or subculture. But where do you see it going? I mean, online video, it's hugely important, and I like the sense of trust that sort of goes hand in hand with these sort of ambassadors for brands that sort of very organically grows. It might be a way of doing it, but what sort of do you see as the evolution of sort of online video and how brands and advertisers can sort of like go hand in hand with that?
I think the evolution of this kind of medium and this kind of celebrity as well will see a shift towards a younger audience engaging more and more with people who are famous online and have started online rather than on television platforms and broadcast platforms. This doesn't mean that the TV platforms will become irrelevant or superfluous to any media schedule, but I think as the younger generation come through and they're total digital natives, and the people that they're interested in have YouTube channels and Facebook pages and Instagram feeds that they're interested in, I think we'll see brands wanting to engage more and more with them in their content. Now, there's a danger that it could reach a saturation point in that anyone who has a huge reach on YouTube because they're funny, or they've got great makeup tips, or they have a great skill at BMXing or whatever, is just inundated by them giving brand plugs. I think that there'll be a balance found between the amount of media bought around their content in a kind of like really targeted way, and then how much the talent themselves are integrated with that content as well. Because I don't think it can swing too far one way in terms of the brands being involved with the talent. I think it's got to be a perfect marriage between their ad units on platforms like YouTube and then the talent themselves. And kind of never the twain shall meet, in that we all have to be very transparent about the relationship that the brand has with the talent, and that relationship has to be credible and real rather than forced or crowbarred in for a certain amount of money. We're very specific about advice to the talent in terms of what brands they should and shouldn't partner with. There are obvious partnerships, and they're the ones that we want to foster and make proper, deep relationships with, rather than trying to get a makeup artist stopping her makeup tutorial halfway through her video and holding up a fizzy drink and saying she loves it. It's about finding brands and products that fit perfectly with that content, because that's where the trust is kind of kept real, and the credibility isn't eroded at all.
Excellent. One final question, sort of promotional one. What do you think of today's event?
I think it's fantastic. I think the venue's amazing, incredible views. I think that you've got a selection of really good speakers from different perspectives throughout online video. Really fascinating, and I've learnt a lot as well from the speakers who preceded and came after me, definitely.
Excellent, thank you so much.